The Long-Term Care Administrator Board will now exit executive session and reconvene open session at 11:45 a.m. No final decisions were made and no votes were taken in executive session. Public will be moved back from the breakout room and representatives of the media may once again report all board discussions and actions.
The next item on the agenda is items for board action. So it has been proposed that in cases 21-10296, also in case 21-10166, and case 22-10545, as well as case 23-10819, that the board close without taking action.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Wait, you need to list your names. Was that David and Carol?
Yeah, Hankins seconded.
Yes.
I will now call for a vote. Carol Hankins,
Affirm.
Samuel Weiss,
Affirm.
Drasti Patel,
Yay.
Jocelyn Cook,
Yay.
Emily Morgan. I'm going to call her, but we believe she had to go. David Lewis.
Affirm.
And Maggie Hilty, yay. Motion passes. Next one.
It is also being proposed that in case number 22-10599, to revoke the license and impose the cost of disciplinary proceedings up to $5,000.
Is there a motion?
Hankins, so moved.
And a second?
Second.
That was David Lewis. I will now call for a vote. Carol Hankins,
Affirm.
Samuel Weiss,
Aye.
Drasti Patel,
Yay.
Jocelyn Cook,
Yay.
Emily Morgan, David Lewis,
Aye.
and Maggie Hilty, aye. The motion is approved. Next on the agenda
Is other board business.
Good morning, everyone. This is Ann Thompson, for the record. I had an item under other board business. I included an administrative rule for your review. We had a question that came from the community wondering where the preceptor duty administrative rule 853-030-0045, number 1, the origins and validity of training one AIT at a time. We redid these rules a few years ago when we took on the new board, the residential care administrator license, and remade the board. And when we redid the rules, this particular preceptor duty was not in any way questioned or came under any scrutiny. So when we have a question from the community, I thought we don't have to take action, but it might be valid to ask the administrators and experts on the board if only training one AIT at a time is still valid in today's world, or have there been changes? Do you think a preceptor might be able to supervise more than one? And never had that discussion before, so I thought I would put it before you today and see what the feelings were.
Carol has her hand up.
Thank you. Yeah, I just have a question. Is this something that is always done in person, or is it something that can be done online?
The preceptor duties?
Yes.
Oh, heck no. No, this is very hands-on. No. This is something where we have an AIT program that has been approved by the board that AITs, that when they register as an AIT with the health licensing office, they have a packet. They have in-person time. I'm sure Maggie could flesh out more what it looks like in real life, but it is an extensive program in person.
Okay, so it sounds very time consuming for the trainer. And if that person is also supposed to be still doing their full-time job as administrator of their own facility, it seems wise to keep it at one.
Thank you, Carol. Jocelyn, did you have a thought?
I would recommend to also keep it with just one.
Okay, I'm seeing Maggie nodding,
Yeah.
and David, yes?
Yes. I think we
Does
would all
anyone-
all agree there.
Okay, and that's fine. It's not something that we are suggesting changing. It's just when I have extensive experience with a board and somebody calls from the community and says, "Hey, why is this?" If I have the answer, I'll tell them.
Yeah.
And if I don't, and sometimes with technology, with changes in the environment, I believe the question came from somebody within a big company where they were like, well, I'm a preceptor and I travel extensively and there's no reason why I can't. And I'm like, well, that might be a particular circumstance, but this is what it is now. So if you guys are all affirming that, I am more than happy to carry that message into the community, and I appreciate you taking the time to help me understand that better.
And thank
Absolutely.
you. And there is a difference between mentoring somebody, which could be multiple, and the
Of course.
actual preceptor. And I think that might be where you want to help this person understand.
Absolutely. And thank you, Mr. Lewis. That was something this particular person, this individual, asked very specifically about that rule and that subsection and said, in today's corporate environment, a preceptor technically could, handle more than one. And I said, but what about somebody who maybe it's a smaller organization? They don't have big corporate trainers doing all of this stuff. And you don't want to inadvertently cause, we call it an HLO, unintended consequences, right? You change your rule for one circumstance and you open up the door to all these other problems for circumstances that aren't the same. So if that's best practices and the board reaffirms it, I have no problem delineating mentoring from official AIT precepting and make sure they understand the difference. Mr. Weiss, you have a comment?
The cases we were looking at just a little while ago involved new administrators. And there's nothing.
Let's be careful to
in
keep
what-
it general. Let's be careful.
Pardon?
Oh, let's be careful to keep it very, very general. We don't want to accidentally bring anything from executive session into open session, but please
Yeah,
continue.
yeah. What I'm going to say is there's nothing here which emphasizes developing the use of the staff to inform the administrator of what is happening. And so what I'm saying is we saw a deficiency in how people were developed, and maybe this is a place to include specific wording to address that. Likewise, 4 hours per hour, considering that they do this for a year, that's not a lot of time to really get down into the heart of things. But I would live with that.
Okay, so we are going to stick at this time with the rule as it stands, with preceptors, registered preceptors supervising only one registered AIT at a time. I see a lot of nodding. I appreciate the conversation, and that's all I have for you today. Thank you.
Well, that seems to be the end of the documents. So I think there's nothing else.
What,
Yeah,
well,
we need to have
just,
a motion to adopt this. If
no,
if it's something new.
we're all
We didn't
fine.
change anything.
No, we won't change anything. But what I will say, if that is closed, going forward in the spring, is there, now, if we have cases, we might pull you together for a very special meeting. But the full board meetings with the reports and all of that, our next scheduled meeting is for the spring. You voted on that earlier. Is there
Yes.
anything that you can think of right now that you would like me to include? There were a couple of little questions about if we can find out where people are taking tests from, if they're coming in from other other states, or if they're taking them internally. I know that came from Mr. Lewis. Is there anything else that I can add to the spring meeting and bring for members?
I have a thought, and actually it kind of stems a little bit from what David had mentioned earlier, is our view on reciprocity and how reciprocity works. And whether or not our reciprocity list needs to include worked experience of licensees in other states in lieu of AITs, if they've already been licensed and working as an admin in a state that is not reciprocal today in our area based off of AIT program length requirements, but they've surpassed that based off of work experience. I know it's come up for a couple of people that I know recently. I think it's an interesting thing to discuss.
Okay, well, what I can do is I can include that on the next agenda. And one of the things we can go over, as we know, we're all creatures of statute, and we can take a look at your statutes. Frequently, reciprocity is based on equivalency, that you can get reciprocity in another, from another state, as long as the requirements are substantially similar. I'll have to do a deeper dive into your statutes. And then what does substantially similar mean? What we can do is always dictated by what the statutes say. But if you would like to have a more robust conversation over what it says, what it does, and what openings that might give for modern discussion and modern looks at what we have, I'd be more than happy to bring that to you.
Beautiful. Sounds fun.
It's always great to revisit these things because the world changes, right? Statutes don't, but the world does. So I will bring that for you, Maggie.
Oh, thank you, Anne.
You're so welcome. Now, are you concerned with mainly nursing home administrators, or do you want to look at residential care as well? Is there a specific part that you're interested in?
I mean, I'm just more familiar with the nursing home administrator side of it. I know that there's not as many states that require the RCF style license today.
Yes.
So that would be, maybe a little oddity.
Well, we'll take a look at anything we can come up with. We can just call it discussing reciprocity requirements, what it looks like. And when, if you have another thought or a situation comes up, reach out to me and I'll make sure that the agenda reflects the topics and any additional thoughts that you have. Great. Anything else from anybody? Not seeing any head shakes. Thank you very much for the sidebar. If there is nothing else and Trampus approves, Maggie, you can probably read us out.
All right. Well, the Long-Term Care Administrators Board, oh my goodness, someone get me some coffee. The Long-Term Care Administrator Board meeting is adjourned at 11:59 a.m. on whatever today is, the 13th of September, 2024.
Thank you all so, so much.
Everybody?
Yay. All right,
Thank
bye.
you. Great meeting.